What's up, everyone? Welcome to Easy Does It, the show where Easy does it, and by it I mean talk about sports, or by I mean sports, and by does I mean talking about them. I got to work on that intro. It's okay. It's a work in progress. First thing I want to talk about today, and we have a very special show today. Got a couple really cool guests who are going to be joining us, including a top recruit, one of the one of the best young running backs in our nation. That is Elijah Bill Davis. Great first name, by the way, even though he goes by Bill. Find out more about that. But man, something I've advocated for on this show for a long time is I like the smoke and mirrors in regard to Justin Fields. It's a good thing, right? We want people talking about the Bears trading him because that's what gets people thinking, oh, maybe the Bears want to move off their quarterback. And this is the best way for the Bears to maximize their leverage in order to maximize their utility with that number one overall pick. However, that doesn't mean that talk isn't incredibly annoying, because to me, it's gotten to the point where people are starting to take it too seriously. They've almost gone too far with it, and they're making it seem like, hey, maybe this is actually going to happen. I really hope it doesn't, man, because I'm trying to think, is he like it's a small sample size, but I don't think I've ever seen the Bears have a quarterback with like this much talent, just from a pure talent perspective. Got some comments. Super annoying. Thank you. I agree, Jeremiah. Welcome to the show. Yeah, it's just and on the one hand, like I said, it's good that these rumors are circulating, but on the other hand, like I just don't know how it is for QB1. I hope he knows that he's a Bear for life, because it wouldn't make any sense to move on from him, especially at this point, especially right now. It's also pretty crazy is the fact that Daniel Jones right now, the Giants quarterback, there are rumors about him getting paid $45 million a year. Seems a bit excessive for a quarterback who got blown out by the Eagles twice this year. Not that the Eagles are a good team, but like, man, they couldn't do shit. Anyway, that's enough for my rant because I kind of want to get into the show, the exciting parts of the show. I got Coach Chef joining me today. So I know him as Diab. You all know him as Coach Chef. I'm gonna let him on the stream. How's it going, Coach? How we doing today?
I'm all right. How you doing, Elijah?
I'm chilling. I'm good. A little annoyed about these Justin Fields rumors, but we'll survive.
Yeah, it's slightly annoying. I haven't been spending an abundance of time on all the different platforms listening because it can get a little like
That's
I
probably smart.
one thing I want to say is great shirt. I just noticed your shirt there.
Thank you. I got it at a thrift shop the other day. I was so
Really?
excited. Yeah,
That's
in
what's up.
LA, like so random.
But the only negative I would say that's annoying more or less, and I get it. We talk a lot about this. I know Terrence T. Nick has talked about this. Like he's not a big Dan Orlovsky guy because
Yeah.
Dan Orlovsky has some criticisms, and a lot of people did preseason about the Bears not having enough talent. Although technically Dan Orlovsky was right. All the receivers,
Orlovsky's right sometimes, man.
yeah,
People
he's
forget.
right quite a bit because of his
His
experience.
biggest crime is looking like a doofus.
Well, I mean, hey, he knows that. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously,
he
but
knows it. He owns it, right?
and then the other person, and I know he has more NFL experience than we do. I'm sorry, but even prior to the person I'm talking about is Mike Tannenbaum. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Like, I know he was a GM. I know that he was on the Justin Herbert not bandwagon, but he was a guy who was saying he's an elite quarterback from his draft class.
It doesn't take a
But
lot to recognize that Justin Herbert's pretty good, but yes,
well,
fair.
I mean, in an aspect, like Justin Herbert was very limited at Oregon because even
Sure.
what he's doing now, he didn't do in Oregon, but that was based around the coaching staff. Like he threw a lot of screens and quick passes. He wasn't throwing the ball vertically, so you can miss
Right.
that if you're watching on it. Because I didn't think he was that special. I thought he was very good. I didn't think he'd be that elite. Of course, his team is. I mean, the talent around him is amazing. So that helps. But I don't see where you think Bryce Young at the same state. Like we all do all the draft people do the same comparison. If you put this quarterback with this draft class from 2 years ago or in the future, where would they rank? You can't. I don't know how many people besides Mike Tannenbaum and I guess Todd McShay, but if you put Young in the draft class from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you can't obviously think that he's a better quarterback talent than Justin Fields.
Oh,
And I still thought Justin Fields was like, in all honesty, I thought he was like third or fourth. I'm not gonna lie, only because he holds the ball long. But that was my only gripe from him. And he put up the numbers. And one thing that many people have said is that even people from Chicago media said, like, you took a guy who didn't run in college and he's running now out of like happenstance and game planning because we don't have talent around him. So he's transitioned from he's been a quote unquote athletic quarterback who can run, but he's been dual threat. But he didn't. What the most yards he ever ran for at the Ohio State was like 400 or 500 yards.
Well, he had eons to throw in those pockets.
And Daniel Jones ran for the same amount, and no one considered Daniel Jones a true dual threat quarterback. Although Daniel Jones, I believe, was top 5 in rushing for all quarterbacks in the league this past year.
Yeah, and no, the Giants really adhered to that style. And it's, and I'm trying to think if Bryce Young wasn't that Justin Fields draft, obviously, fantasy land, because there was Mac Jones at the time, I'd probably put him somewhere between Lance. Like my rankings that year were Lawrence, Fields, Wilson, Lance, Jones. I definitely put Bryce Young over Zach Wilson and Mac Jones at this point, but like, I think he's just right up there with Lance, and I don't think he's better than Fields. And also, really, the thing that concerns me about Bryce Young is, 6 feet, 180, and he is a runner. He's much more of a runner than Fields was. That's a little more concerning to me. And I know that Fields has shown that kind of toughness that it takes, that, like, he scrambles, he gets hit, he gets right back up. I don't know how Bryce Young is going to do against NFL hits like that. I do think he can be quite good. I think he will be good, but I don't think he'll be good as Fields.
But that's the thing everyone says is like, so they'll say, "Oh, we have other short quarterbacks." But let's like the narrative. So let's name quarterbacks who are considered undersized in the NFL that have been significantly undersized in the past, say, 20 years. So
Drew Brees and Russell Wilson.
Drew Brees is a certified 6 foot, but Drew Brees isn't 180 pounds, nor was he drafted at 180. Right. Okay, he was drafted at 200 pounds. Michael Vick also was roughly 6 foot. He wasn't 6'1", but his athleticism voided a lot of that. But Michael Vick had a lot of injury issues because of his running ability.
Many.
A small fun fact about Michael Vick. He fumbled a lot. Also, so the combine, they do hand size. Michael Vick is one of the smaller hand quarterbacks of note that were drafted as high as he was taken. That's just a side note that people don't talk about. Kyler Murray. But Kyler Murray was considered, hey, his athleticism is so far off the charts, it will take, he can evade those things, but he has not completed a full NFL season at any point of his career. Why? Because he's getting hit, and he's 190, 195, 200 barely, but he's a legit 5'10".
And I will say about Russell Wilson,
he's a thicker, stockier guy.
The exception, but he's very stocky.
Yes, very stocky.
He's built like he's just thick up top. So, and that's why he was such an Iron Man early in his career. He could just take any hit. Of course, he had injuries last year and this year, but in his prime, you could count on him to start all 16 games. But all 16 games, and Bryce Young is a lot skinnier.
Yes, and this is the NFL. This is a quote unquote man's league, and when a 200, and I know we have the new rules about not landing on guys, but come on, man.
Yeah,
undersized. I think sometimes size is underrated, but it's about how you position yourself and how you take hits in the NFL when you're a running back, a receiver, and the abundance of hits based on your frame are going to affect you. And yes, injuries can happen to anyone. Cam Newton wore down over time, but Cam Newton was 6'5", 260, and it took almost a decade for him to wear down.
Yes.
And his style was completely different. But
also he threw weird.
Yeah. But even the idea that I've heard about Bryce Young is that, he's Patrick Mahomes light. So that's weird to me because Patrick Mahomes light, you know what that isn't?
Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly. So I don't
I mean, anyone can be Patrick Mahomes light.
So if you Patrick Mahomes light,
I've heard Mitch Trubisky does a great Patrick Mahomes impression in his Scout team. In Scout Team. Yeah. No, I mean, but Micah Hyde and what's his name? And Jordan Poyer were like, yeah, shout out Mitch. He really simulated Mahomes very well. So anyone could be Mahomes light, but
what's that mean? Mahomes light. Okay, so if you're Mahomes light, that means factually you don't have arm strength, you don't have the enough evasiveness to elude rush, you're a little less athletic, you're not as big, you don't have the arm angles,
yeah. So it's just like if you're watered down Mahomes, it means you're
you're not Mahomes.
That's
you're
code
another
for
person.
Dak Prescott. Like that's code for just like
any other quarterback who's not Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, but yeah, we're talking a lot about taking NFL size hits, and we're talking a lot about it's a man's game. Well, we got a young man who I think is going to be a great NFL player in the future, and who is going to be a Louisiana Ragin' Cajun. Before I let him in, I want to put on his highlight tape just so y'all could kind of get to know what I'm talking about a bit. Just threw together this 90-second reel. And here is Elijah Bill Davis. Welcome to the show, Bill. How's it going, man?
Hey, I'm doing well.
Good.
What's going on?
One thing I will say, I noticed in the, when I was putting together some of your highlights is when you get to that end zone, it's like you look up kind of past the goalpost, and I could just tell you're ready for that student section.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have some you're gonna have a lot of fun. So I want to ask you real quick.
Wait, hold on. Is your pops on? Mike, what's Mike? What's Mike? What's
going on, Dion? How you doing?
I'm good. I didn't see you. Okay. I think we're good.
All right. Well, he's on. I just can't see him, but it's all good. We'll make do. We'll make do. I want to ask. So, why do you go by Bill if your first name is the best first name as a fellow Elijah?
I go by Bill because my mom's sister, she gave me a nickname. The show Bill Cosby made, the Little Bill Show. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
So it just
Little Bill. Okay.
Fair enough.
Bill,
so maybe didn't age the greatest, but it works. It works. I think it's funny. It's clever. I think it'll separate you a lot once you're playing on Saturdays and eventually Sundays. So those highlights, something it makes me wonder a little bit because obviously, those are the big chunk plays. I'm sure you also have, your plays where you grind for, 6-7 yards and whatnot. Here, is that Mike?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. All right. I'm do it this way then. How's it going, Mike?
Well, what's going on? How you doing?
We're good. Welcome to the show.
Yes, sir.
I kind of want to know, what do you consider to be your style as a runner? And is there anyone in the NFL who you try to emulate or, you model your game after? Or who you look up to in the NFL?
In the NFL, I'll probably say Derrick Henry. I was a
nice.
real big Jimmy Kimmel fan.
Always a good one.
I didn't really like him too much at Bama just because I just didn't like Alabama. But
Right.
You ain't the only one.
but in college, especially out here living in Louisiana, I was a big Leonard Fournette guy.
Oh,
that's why I wear number 7. So.
Oh, I respect that. I love that. Yeah, it's cool that it's nice that in the NFL they let guys do that now. But yeah, so you are obviously Diab was telling me you're like a multi-sport athlete, right? So it's not just football. You play what else? Basketball, track, and
I do basketball and track. I do indoor track as well.
Oh, nice. So you got that speed, hopefully NFL game day speed, and also you got that you got a lot of power. I noticed there's that one play you catch the screen pass, and you kind of broke 2 guys' ankles and then shoved another one on the ground.
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself to be more of a power runner, or are you more of like one of those ankle breaker type players?
I'd say I'm all around. I wouldn't just say I'm just a power back. I can make some people miss when need to be. And, I can also lower the shoulder when need to be as well.
I respect it. I like it a lot. And oh yeah. So are you y'all played, you had some high profile games. There was the one with that one school that the Manning kid goes to. I want to ask, like, have you had to face any like really strong defenses in your high school playing days? And if so, like, how do you prepare for a good defense that's going to game plan around you?
Every team that we go against, they're going to stack the box. They're going to do things like that. So you just kind of be prepared. Every defense, they're going to have the weakness. They're going to kind of want to have to, go through one guy, if that makes sense. So for me, when I'm kind of game planning, I just kind of, I have really good teammates, so they make it really easy for me, and I have a really good O-line. So anytime they're so they want to stack the box, it's nothing to just throw a little screen pass, make them honest, spread the box out.
Right. You gotta keep them on their toes. So why Louisiana?
It was Louisiana because they were the first school that shot at me. They showed the most love, most interest. They didn't really care about if I had a ranking behind my name. They really just cared about the type of person I was and what I put on tape. Not a 5-star.
I love that. So yeah, based on what I've seen, it says you're about 5'9". It seems like you have what it takes to eventually be like that NFL player. Is that your career ambition? Do you want to eventually get to the NFL?
Yes, that's always been a big goal of mine, to make it to the NFL. Just watching every Sunday, every Monday and Thursday, every Monday and Sundays, and Thursdays it's always been a dream of mine, just seeing, guys, especially guys from out here that go to our local high schools, from Destrand with Justin Jefferson, those guys coming from, high school.
Oh, no kidding.
Guys.
Louisiana, man, hotbed for college and professional talent, man.
I think Louisiana, in a lot of ways, might be the main, like one of the best football states in the country. It's hard to argue with that. Also, my favorite player of all time was a Raging Cajun. That is Charles Peanut Tillman. Always respect him. Also, another Elijah Mitchell went there. Brian Mitchell. Who was that?
Elijah McGuire.
Brandon Stokely. Oh, Elijah McGuire. There you go. You're the third in the line of Elijah's.
I was about to say that was a interesting. Your father was telling me that was interesting recruiting. Not ploy, but interesting they used for your recruiting about being the next Elijah in the line, because all of you were running back. So obviously they noticed that. You all noticed that. What's going on, fellas? For those who don't know, I've had both Mike and Bill on for a show. So this is like my second time, and I've been following your career. Your dad is your family, but especially your dad has been really huge in getting you out there for to get you some attention. And I remember him sending me tape or highlights from you, I think as a freshman, I believe. And I was just like, oh, okay, people always, your kids who are doing good, you want to see them do good. And I'm like, okay, well, man, like you got some speed on them, And as the years progress, and I've seen you develop it to essentially, you got that man, almost not a finished product, but that man body already about what, 215, 210?
About 215. Yes.
215. And seeing you come from when 4 years ago when Mike was sent out the little highlights, I'm like, okay, well, you can see what we got here is Louisiana, which is one of those southern states. Obviously, most southern states are known for their football programs. You're seeing your development and being kind of not hands-on, but like seeing it from a distance has been very it's been great for me just to see the progression. You know, you don't have I don't have a lot of hands on. You know, my kids are really young, and I just got back into coaching. So seeing your progression's been outstanding. I know you made your father and your mom, your entire family, very very proud of you. So I know you committed. They offered you what, a year ago? They offered you as a junior, or
I was a junior, so it was literally about a year ago around this time. So
right?
See, like last week, I think about 3 or 4 days ago, it was mid a year.
Okay, and I followed you ever since then, especially when we had you on the show the first time. And you kept your commitment. You know, in a day and time where guys see better opportunities, or you know, the grass is always greener. You've been very steadfast in your commitment to Louisiana, and you know, I think you've had several schools in the FCS and the FBS find you in Power 5. I think Vanderbilt was a part of. I don't know if they were your top 5, but I know they offered you. I saw Alcorn offer you. If you don't mind telling everybody,
that means that.
But you know about Bill, very very academic. You're very academic strong, strong as well. So obviously, a school like Vanderbilt offering you means a lot, because academically you have to be there. How many total offers did you receive in totality?
I say 15.
15. Hey man, that is wonderful. Easy. So we reviewed it for the past few weeks, almost a month, just trying to get them on. That so me and Bill's father, we played college ball together at a school called Upper Iowa University, many more than a decade ago, back before YouTube was a real thing. So keeping close to guys like that has been really cool for me. I know you. We've been in contact off and on for some years now. So it's good to see the progress of the family. I remember. Literally, I remember when he hit me up, I was just like, "That's your son, right?" He was like, "Yeah." I literally remember Bill when he was not even a year old.
Oh wow, Mike, what position did you play when you played?
Fullback, last of a dying breed.
Yeah,
that's my. I mean, just full transparency. Fullback is still my favorite position in sports. I miss,
Facts. Mike Allstott,
high formations. Mike Allstott, sure, but he ran with the ball a lot. I'm talking like give me Lorenzo Neal.
I'm about to say Lorenzo Neal.
Or the Bears have had a few. We had like Jason McKee.
Yeah, Jason
McKee. There's a lot that stand out. So were you more of like a receiving fullback, or you like a pure pave the way guy?
Yeah, more running. So it was weird in high school. The offense we ran, fullbacks got the ball, 12 to 15, 16 times a game. In college, nah, got to go block. So that was a big adjustment. I didn't really like that part. I always thought of myself as a glorified running back.
You know, there's got to be some kind of beautiful metaphor here about you blocking for your son, paving the way for him.
You know what? I thought that. You know, the game has changed so much. Easy. The game has changed to where, I know when I got to Upper Iowa, we were transitioning to a passing team. You know, teams that run spread. And having fullbacks were predominantly blockers. I know Mike's probably told his son this about. I don't know. I remember we reviewed it once before about Mike's nickname in college, because you get nicknames in college for various reasons, strange reasons. Course. We had a guy on the team. Everybody called Taco for like a year and a half, almost 2 years. Mike, you want to tell everybody what your nickname was at Upper Iowa?
Peanut butter.
Do you gotta explain that one.
Yeah, I do. I remember.
My son doesn't believe me.
I forgot who gave you the nickname. So,
Calvin.
See, right, okay, right. I'm St. Louis. Okay. So we were at practice. Well, I don't remember what practice it was. It had to be early in the fall season or whatever, before the season even started. And Sino was a DB there. He was out of St. Louis. And Mike's football build back then was, typical fullback, big guy. So for those who don't know, Mike has extremely thick calf muscles. So Sino said, man, I think he said something to the effect of like, man, that dude calf muscles thick like peanut butter. And ever since then, the entire team it's college, man. That's how you get nicknames. we had guys on the team we had a guy from New Jersey, and everybody just called him Jersey.
Oh yeah, no, of course. You're gonna call someone. My dad's been called Chicago before.
Right.
You call people by their cities. When I played intramural flag football at SDSU, they called me White Mike Vick because I just scrambled a whole lot. I wasn't, definitely not like, at a high level, but it was a good time, always fun.
Yeah, nicknames are a very the only nickname
Also,
I've ever really.
I will say, like, there aren't many really good nicknames in the NFL anymore. Like DeAndre Hopkins, D-Hop.
I think nicknames are more of like a team embedded thing. You get them from your teammates, you get them from other players. So besides Bill, what are your teammates? What else do your teammates call you?
They just call me Bill. Everybody
just call you Bill.
Bill.
Okay.
I mean, there got to be. Okay. Look, there are going to be opportunities for dollar bills or something. I don't know. Like,
yeah. Somebody actually did call me that. Somebody actually called me Dollar Bill.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Perfect.
So. Right. I know we talked. Remember the conversation we had roughly a year ago. I think it was after your junior year about just the recruiting process and how it's going for you as a junior, and now you being a senior and being highly touted. I mean, you were ranked one of the best running backs in the state. You all state, all metro, and all district. Okay, yeah. So Elijah, Easy, you being on the West Coast and me being in the Midwest, right outside of Chicago. Every state, categorizes it different, all city, all area. So high accolades for this young man. How was it different for you coming from your junior year, entering your senior year, and obviously the pressure being bigger and you performing? Like at one point, I think you had 1,000 yards in like the first 4 games.
Jesus.
Right. You were just short of 5,000 yards for a career, 65 touchdowns. And just living up to those quote unquote expectations coming from your junior year and your sophomore year. How did you feel the pressure, if we can call it that, or it was just like, hey, as long as I'm healthy, as long as the team blocks and we game plan of what we're supposed to do, it's just me performing?
For me, I don't really try to look too much into the pressure. I just go out there and play, because when you start thinking about the pressure, you start getting nerves. You start going out there doing crazy things. So, I just went out there. I've been playing the game since I've been 7, 8 years old. I just knew going into my senior year, I'm not changing anything that I've been doing that's gotten me this far. So everything I've been doing, I just kept the same.
So I want to ask a little bit about that, because your senior year, you said you had already committed to Louisiana, right? So was there like one more time?
I said yes, I did.
Oh, okay. So just to kind of, like once you had already committed, was there like a sense of like, oh, I gotta, maybe partake in a bit of load management now that I'm already committed? Like, was there a little bit of a, like did you still run the ball as much as you did, or did you kind of like take a little bit more of a back seat, or how did that look?
Or did you play regular? I played regular through the first 3 games. Well, it was 3 tough teams. We played St. Thomas, who was on the background right here. Week 2, we played Newman, which was a big game. Then Central Catholic, game almost went to overtime, but luckily we made it out of there. But outside of that, we proceeded as normal. If we were up, there's no sense for the starters to be in. So that's kind of what it was looking like. But anytime the team needed me, I was out there. If we were up, none of the stars were in.
I love that, and if you had said, nah, like I took it easy, full respect for that too. I get it. You have your deal, but I do have a lot of respect for that commitment to the craft, even when, you already know you're going to be going, you're going to be going and playing college football. That's pretty cool. And I guess kind of in that same vein, how do you feel about the new NIL stuff that's going on?
I think it's pretty cool. Able to, make money off their name, likeness, and image. I definitely think it definitely helps, because you're able to put yourself out there so much more. You're able to get put in different things. I think it's just very helpful. You're able to just put little small restaurants and things like that. Help them get better business and things like that. So I just think it's overall a good opportunity, for guys, for college guys to get some money in their pocket, especially like with the new NCAA video game that's coming out.
Dude, how cool would that be if you could play as yourself?
Yeah, that's really cool. So UL is actually going to be in that game, so that's going to be pretty cool.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
It is something to look forward to. I know as a guy who played it all through my high school and college years. About the NIL, so even the idea, if it's not a company or something local in town, is the ability now for, I know maybe about 5 to 7 years ago, maybe 10, there were players who had like YouTube channels that they weren't allowed to get sponsorships because it was infraction.
I'm familiar with him.
Say again?
Stroing? I'm not sure you're familiar with him.
I can't remember the kid's name, but he was a kicker out of South Florida.
Jeremy Bloom.
Yeah, he was one of the first. Jeremy Bloom was one of the first because back in the early 2000s, he was a skier. He was a world-class skier. And because the only way to supplement skiing, your training and all that stuff, he had to get endorsements. And he literally had to stop skiing if he wanted to continue playing football. I know he lobbied out for it. I know he's been a huge proponent of the NIL for over 15 years now, I want to say, since it's 2023. And that's 2002, 2003. So actually 20 years ago. Now at this point, Jeremy Bloom is still kind of head fast in the NIL for student athletes, being their male or female. Have you personally, or your family, or anyone, have you been? I know you're going to enter your freshman year, and you are, you're one of the young guys on the team. Because now even on the recruiting, you go to your recruiting sites, they have like potential NIL like projections and all that other stuff. Has anyone locally within the campus or surrounding area they talked to you and your parents or anything like that about any opportunities financially?
No, they have not. I just when I get out there, I kind of plan to do those things. Nobody's reached out or anything. I know it's going to come. Once I start playing,
producing, right?
Yeah, start producing.
And one more thing, Easy. I know we're going back and forth with this.
No, you're good.
So I know we're approaching spring. I forgot if I asked your dad this. So you won't be attending. You're not graduating early. You're going to finish out your senior year.
Yes.
I know it's track season. I know people who don't know. A lot. Bill's first major sport was track and field. He's a sprinter, 100 and 200. I think you under 11 seconds in 100. You're under 23 seconds in 200, I believe. You were all state, or I don't know how to classify it in Louisiana, in track and field. Say again?
I'm not really sure what it was for track and field, but for football and things like that, I was all state. But I'm not really sure how it was when I went for track.
He just made it to state. I've never seen a classification or how they
do it first track and field.
Yeah, but he made it to state for the 100.
Okay. And that was as a junior, like it's indoor track season now. You're going into your outdoor season, which would be huge, obviously. Where did you place All-State junior, if you don't mind me asking?
My junior year, funny story. I'm doing long jump. I've been doing long jump since I started track. Hurt my hamstring, and I could not run the 100.
Okay.
My sophomore year, I ended up coming in second though. My sophomore year.
Man. So if you watch your film, you see a lot of that. I was going to ask you, have you ever been caught from behind? But in your film, you don't see it. Even versus Newman, which is considered a huge Louisiana power at the division you all are at. No one's catching you. I know your build produces obviously the next level. It won't be as easy. You're averaging 8.3 yards per carry. But he's a sprinter, Easy. Like, you can see it when second level, when that second level kicks in. You get that little head tilt back.
He's gonna be hitting his head into a lot of goalposts, I have a feeling.
So also, I know your dad told me this year. I know we had some conflict with scheduling because you're so busy. Like your whole family is busy with activities, extracurricular. You joined basketball this year, the varsity level. Is this your first year playing varsity basketball? Or did you play as a junior?
I played since I've been on the varsity team since I was in 8th grade.
Oh, nice.
Like just a phenomenal athlete.
What position you play? Point guard, I'm guessing.
I kind of play out. Well, starting off, my 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, and a little bit of my 11th grade year, I was kind of like, big guy. You know what I'm saying? If I get the rebound, I can push down the court. But we had some very skilled guards. And, I was kind of like, the biggest out of the the kind of the group that we had. So I was a big man. Kind of more this year. I'm kind of all around this year. I could play a little bit of guard. I could play down low if need to be. So, like I said, this year I'm a little bit all around. I can do a little bit of everything.
Even
Green.
No.
I know, even because high school basketball is a lot different with height. It also depends on your school size and
right.
the heights and everything. So I remember in high school, me playing the 4 and the 5, and I was only 6'2", 6'1", and it's weird based on the size of your team. And you being a more bulkier guy, obviously, you got the physical talent. If you don't have the height wise and athleticism, if you high jump, that means you have the vertical to play with the big boys down low. So track, basketball, football. Do you have any intentions on running track in college?
That would be nice, but I know myself. I haven't talked to those. I haven't talked to you or anything about about track or anything. I'm not really too worried about it. If opportunity presents itself, I gladly take it. But I'm just really worried about football.
Okay.
Just football's going to be a full-time job. Also, just back quickly on the subject of NIL deals. No matter what, it'll be good. And I'm sorry for this joke I'm about to make, but like, put your face. No matter what, you're going to be on a billboard, and it'll be a billboard with you on there. And I just think that's like, so it doesn't matter what company it is. Any company that has a billboard will want to have you on there just by virtue of the name.
I almost want to say that we sound even older now, because I'm like, do kids, do they know what billboards are? Everything's digital now. Everything's digital.
They're timeless. They're not like, it's not like a VCR. We all there are billboards everywhere. I mean,
true.
At least in California, I don't know about the Midwest. I guess I'm not there as much, but in LA, there's a billboard every street. Like they're all over the place.
There are billboards throughout, especially driving through the city or going from the burbs to the city where I live. But everything's digital, so sure. I don't know. Everything's on social media sites and everything. So you've made me a kind of a bigger following the race. Actually, I follow the race. I'm a huge football fan, so college. So I followed UL since they had the official name Louisiana Lafayette. You all are pretty close there. I know, watching your dad's social media, you all make constant trips there and everything. I remember watching you all go to Texas A&M and TCU for your visits there, unofficial visits, I believe. It's going to be another one of those things where your parents, your family, your sister are going to be able to watch you. Your grandparents are going to be able to watch you virtually every home game, if not even some away game based on the conference, your entire college career. How do you feel about that?
I'm sorry, what did you say? Your voice had broke out.
I'm sorry. Just asking you how you feel about your family being able to see you at the next level, being that what's like a 2-hour drive from where you all located now.
Hour 30.
Hour 30. See, I mean, college football, hour 30 is like, that's a basic road trip. You can make that often.
That's a fun time. That's like a great time in the car. 90-minute drive.
So Mike, you being, that being, being involved with him, since forever, obviously. How was that for the family, being able to, the grandparents and the whole family to pack up every Saturday or Friday night, being the, FBS schools play different nights of the week in college, being able to see your son, virtually every week, his entire career?
Major, real big. I ain't never missed a game. All of his games I've been on the sideline. So for him to be an hour and a half away, the road trips aren't too bad. The farthest, they'll go to Minnesota this year. We'll probably get tickets, fly up there. But all of his games are within 5 to 6 hours away on the road. So it's good. It's good. I'm happy about that.
I know it's also early because you haven't been on campus yet. You're going to obviously enroll for the fall. I was doing a little research, obviously, and I saw that you're the only running back they recruited this year, right? Who signed? Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
I know they have a couple athletes, so I know you not there yet. But
so we're talking a bit about this, Frank.
What's
Frank
that depth chart looking like? And what are your, what obviously they tell you they're going to play, or you'll have an opportunity to play. But how confident are you on getting time as a freshman coming toward the fall? Well, this fall, yeah.
I'm pretty confident, as long as I go out there. The biggest thing, they know you can play. It's just, the pass blocking, the different things like that. My dad always tells me, make sure you take care of your body and things like that. It's a long season. You're gonna get nicks and bruises. Basically, we could just stay as healthy as who gets to basically stay as healthy as long as possible towards the end of the season. I'm just making sure I'm in a playbook. Just constantly going over film. You just be one more step ahead. Since I'm a freshman, guys that's been in the program since going into their junior, senior. Obviously they're going to have a step ahead of me. As far as the plays and stuff. So want to make sure I'm as sharp as them.
So
Right.
what do you do to prepare for that? Like you mentioned, staying healthy, being one step ahead, obviously studying the playbook, watching film, all very important. Is there a way you can get an edge in regard to just like taking like just self-preservation, being able to make those blocks while still taking care of your body and like getting ahead? Obviously a freak accident's a freak accident, but like, just getting ahead of that injury bug. Like are there things you could do to prepare for that? And if so, what would those be?
It's very, as at the running back position, I can speak for, make sure you ice your knees because, those are always like the first things that usually go for running backs.
Sure.
Just always always in the thing, getting something, as far as your ankles, getting more, flexion in your ankles, icing your knees, different things like that. Always, getting in the cold tub, that's what they call it.
Yeah.
Just always making sure your body's in, as best shape as it could be.
That's never changed, no matter all the technology in the world. That cold whirlpool is no other, man.
No, some things are pretty stagnant, and it's okay that way because they do their job. I want to ask about, you mentioned, you have great teammates in high school and you love playing with them. Obviously you say like your line helps elevate your game. Are you going to school with any of your teammates, or, have some of your teammates committed to other really good schools? And if you want to share about, where some of your friends are going, just so we could follow them as well.
Unfortunately, no. None of my teammates have, followed me to UL. Luckily, UL, you know how it goes. UL kind of recruits, or like in my situation, they're going to look and see who else they have on my team as well. One of the other guys, some of my teammates, I get an interest from them as well. So we had about, how would you say, about 4 to 5 people signed.
5 guys.
We had 5 guys and 5 guys out of 9 seniors signed to go to college.
Oh, very cool, very cool.
I
Maybe you'll be competing against them. That'd be fun.
I don't think I'll be competing against any of them.
Yeah, I think. I kind of
right?
followed a little bit. I think you had, out of the 5 guys, a couple of them. I think one's JUCO, one's FCS.
Yes, yeah.
I think I might have a chance to maybe play him. He's at Nicholls State. I'm not sure.
Right. I mean, it is in Louisiana.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if we play them. I think we might. Coming up.
Never know.
Years, know he wants to schedule in games, so I'm not really sure.
So you all are producing a little bit more talent, maybe not quote unquote top flight Power 5, but the school athletically has progressed since you've been there. I know we talked last year about you guys had a running back. I think he plays linebacker. The young man who you played behind your freshman to sophomore year. Are you at this point? Are you the highest recruited athlete from the school, from the football program at this point?
I would like to say yes. Right.
At this time, yes. The kid ended up moving. You're talking about he played safety.
Right.
Freshman year.
Okay.
Yeah. He's been the highest rated athlete or highest rated player to come out of Riverside.
And following you all week to week, I know you were up for, I think, was that state player of the week or area player of the week for, was that week 1 or week 3 where you put up, at the overtime game, it was like 5 touchdowns, 3. Well, Mike, I know you know.
Week 1, I had one and I had like 200. I had 300 yards.
Right.
7 touchdowns.
There you go. That was the one, because
6
man,
touchdowns?
the feed was going out. Your pops was sending it to everybody like vote you player of the week. Yeah, 7 touchdowns, 300. Even versus Newman.
Wait, sorry, you had 7 touchdowns?
He had to repeat that.
Even like, even if you're not a football fan, you hear 7 touchdowns, you're like that's a lot of
crazy.
touchdowns. Like that's
Al Bundy can eat his heart out, for those who understand that reference.
I certainly do not. But hey,
Show my age.
That is a lot of touchdowns. Speaking of a lot of touchdowns, you mentioned, earlier on the show, you mentioned, you watch every Sunday, Monday, Thursday. So obviously you're a big college guy and you're also a big NFL fan. Who's your favorite team? Who do you root for?
NFL, I'm a 49ers fan.
Oh, cool.
College kind of depends. I like kind of see LSU. Have a do pretty good. I was at this point. I'm a UL fan, obviously.
Oh yeah.
But I was when Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence was at Clemson. I was a big Clemson guy. I was a real big fan of those guys. So I kind of wanted to pull for Clemson. Like right now, I like to see good football. I just like to see Alabama win. That's all.
Yeah. No, I get that. So yeah, the Niners, they had a great year. And I mean, very disappointing ending. I've always considered the Niners not my favorite team, but kind of like my best friend team in the sense that they always beat Green Bay in the playoffs.
Oh, we love that.
So
if you're a Bears fan,
like that. Like as a Bears fan,
right?
So currently the Bears are, obviously bad. We
Not
always
good.
lose to the Packers.
Not good.
So my Super Bowl is when the Packers lose in the playoffs every year.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a 12-year dynasty right now, and no one can touch that. And the Niners are responsible. The Niners are responsible for, I think, 4 defeats of Green Bay in the playoffs, which makes me very happy. So I'm always, I know
it doesn't touch you guys
for that reason.
Right. We know it doesn't touch you guys in Louisiana, but there's nothing Bears fans love more than seeing the Packers go to the playoffs and Aaron Rodgers underperforming.
No, I'm telling you.
Hey, chill, bro. Not too much on Rodgers, man.
Yeah, not a big Rodgers guy over here.
That guy.
What do you think the Niners should do at quarterback?
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo, he's probably gonna go somewhere else. He might about literally getting another big contract. Then it's kind of tough because you drafted Trey Lance. You got to use the pick on him, but then you got to think Brock Purdy. I mean, in a sense, maybe try to trade Brock Purdy for some value, but then at the same time, you really want to trade him because he just showed you what he could do, and then say Trey Lance, Trey Lance doesn't live up to the hype that what he did, so you just kind of just got rid of a good guy. Then Brock Purdy, he's young. He's not like he's older.
Also, is about to have Tommy John surgery, so that's going to
that plays a factor in
that's going to play a factor as well in the fact that like you said, they traded up to get Trey Lance, and from my opinion, even before the Brock Purdy injury, a lot of people were asking me, what do you do if they get Super Bowl with this guy? You've got to give them. I think they're going to compete. Like you open the competition up because I personally, from afar, I'm not the hugest 49er fan unless they're playing the Packers, but I do know that Kyle Shanahan is a hell of an offensive coordinator, and I'm not saying that he could win with anyone, but he's kind of proven that it doesn't matter what quarterback that he has under center, they're going to put up points, and that defense is going to play, and they're going to run the ball and run that system. So, I think that it'll be open competition, especially if Brock comes back healthy. If not, it's Trey Lance's job to lose at this point, in my opinion.
But also, just look at that offense. Like, you got Debo, you got Christian McCaffrey, you got Kittle, you got Ayuk, who I think Ayuk's the number one receiver on most teams.
All you got to do is not drive it up the road, man.
Yeah, no.
You got to drive that boy up the road.
But yeah, that is an offense where, we've seen guys like Raheem Mostert just kind of come out of nowhere. Elijah Mitchell, of course. And McCaffrey obviously is perfect in that offense.
Yeah, he just changes their whole. He just helps their offense.
The dynamic, dynamic is crazy with him.
The fact that they have 2 Swiss Army knives in Debo and CMC, like that, whatever they do at quarterback, the Niners are in good hands. Especially because I think the rest of the NFC West is a little bit dubious with the Rams. Like the Rams might be a little better next year, but I don't know. I think Stafford's checked out. The Cardinals are a mess. And the Seahawks could be pretty good, but like they didn't have shit on the Niners this year. I want to ask though, like, if you were to get drafted, I was going to ask where you would like to, like, obviously you'd play hard wherever you went, but like I imagine going to the Niners would be really cool for you, not just because they're your favorite team, but because every running back seems to thrive over there.
Mm-hmm. I'd probably have to say definitely the Niners. Just based off, the type of system they run. Not too many teams run that anymore. You kind of look at the.
They use a fullback.
Yeah, fullback and Kyle Juszczyk was a pretty good fullback. Right. That style of offense. You ran that in high school. You know what I mean? Not nobody runs it in the NFL.
Man, that is Ash. I'm telling you. So with you being a very highly touted player within the state of Louisiana, do you have do you or your dad, do you all have any crazy is very a relative word. Do you have any weird, odd, strange stories in your recruitment? I know your dad was there with you every step of the way. So, Mike, if you have any things that coaches have said, questions they've asked, or we hear all these things in the news about different, recruiting violations. It just depends where you are. Obviously, anything that stood out from any school about how they recruited you. Any crazy things that I know maybe not extreme as what's my man from Michigan, Jim Harbaugh sleeping outside of a recruit's house and all that. But anything that was different in your recruitment from the 15 offers that you any of those coaching staffs did besides the typical email, text, home visits, any of that. Any odd stories?
Probably one story. Oh man. It's getting real close to signing day. So man, I don't remember exactly how far, but I knew it was getting real close. And I think maybe in the next 2 weeks it was gonna be signing day. So recruiting. So it was like it was like a little buzz going around that I could potentially be going to South Alabama and things like that. And you obviously knew that that they're in UL's conference. You for the past however many years UL's owned South Alabama. This year they finally beat them. South Alabama had finally beaten after so many years. And so, obviously, you don't want to lose no in-state kids, your rivals, basically, which they are. So, man, so the two people that recruited me, Coach Mike Giuliani and Coach Burge, Coach Matt Burge, he was like, hey, everybody, do a home visit, which is normal because that's when I was getting my home visits and stuff. And like I said, it's getting real close to signing day. So, people, hitting that last little push. So, man, I'm outside. I said, yeah, I think we're here. So I'm going outside meeting them. Next thing I see the head coach, Coach Dez, head coach. He come out of nowhere. What up, Bill? I was like, oh, wait, what up, coach? And I didn't even expect to see him. It was just, just jaw-dropping. He just told me, you're a priority for us. And, it just makes you feel good because, when the head coach wants you and your position coach, it just means a lot.
Wait, are you telling me that when South Alabama coaches were coming for your home visit, the Louisiana coach also showed up?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, I'm about to say, man, that's real love.
I know. Well, actually, funny story. It actually happened when I was at school, man. So literally, coach told me it was actually 3 coaches in there at one time. So I didn't even know they were coming. So they shoot me a text like, hey, we're gonna come, but they all came literally a little bit earlier.
Okay.
I had Tulane in there. I had Memphis in there, and I had South Alabama. So it was kind of weird, just having all 3 of them in there, and then you got all your classmates and stuff. Like, man, there's 3 coaches in there just talking to them. Like, what I mean, it wasn't weird, but it was just like
pretty cool.
Intense because obviously they all saying what up, but they're always obviously like, yeah, I got it. You ain't gonna get them. You know what I mean? So.
Memphis, and I say this, bias. I'm from Memphis. It's a little bit of an RBU. We got a lot of talented Memphis.
D'Angelo Williams.
D'Angelo Williams, my favorite. Then Tony Pollard, Henderson, a couple really solid ones. I think there's a kid there, Brandon Thomas now.
Isaiah Gaineswell from the Eagles.
Yeah.
Gainwell, Rams, Darrell Henderson.
Yeah.
Also, kicker Steven Gostkowski.
Yeah, I really like Memphis. Memphis was nice. Really nice.
Yeah, Memphis is pretty
really
cool.
Nice. He almost would have committed there, just some deciding factors.
Right.
Okay.
I respect the decision to stay close to home for sure.
Hey, it's nothing. Obviously, where you choose is where your future lies. Is one of the big decisions a young man makes where you're going to go to school, whether it's academically or athletically. I know that you are big in your academics. I know you 4.0 still.
I don't have a 4.0. I'm sitting around roughly 3.6, 3.7, 3.8 range, 3.6 to 3.8 range.
And UL does on their site, on their Facebook, and their social media, they rave about how many student athletes they have that are 3.0 or better. So obviously that is clearly a big part of what your parents want, obviously for you academically.
What's your major going to be? Do you know?
My major is going to be kinesiology.
Nice.
Changing, and the good part is, you still have a lot of time to decide, I have till now, till about May, if I just, maybe want to change my mind about some things, but it's looking pretty strong. I'm still like, kind of looking around, kind of seeing what else is out there, I really
believe me, I switched majors in college. I get it.
I picked
these too.
I picked these. I just want to stay close to the game, especially just growing up around sports a lot. That's really all you ever
athletic training and whether it be the healing aspect or the training aspect, physically training, weightlifting coach stuff like that. We're big into it, working out.
That's smart. It goes hand in hand. It's good. It's
so your dad said that Memphis was a school that you really considered. What were the schools that were really close that you were like, man, I really, really like this visit. I really like the staff. I like the city. You stayed true to your first commit, your first verbal commit, and players look. As an ex-player, I think that players should have all the opportunities to quote unquote back out without any backlash from social media. It's your decision. You're the one putting your body, mind, and everything on the line for this university. What other schools were like really on the edge? Like, man, I really am considering not going to UL, and I'm thinking about this other program.
So obviously South Alabama, like I mentioned, Tulane was really good. Just obviously, they beat USC.
Oh man, that was a game.
Like, the degree is worth $100,000. Like, I mean, you're not going to school just like people going there are just going to be regular 9-to-5 workers. They're going to be owning businesses. They're going to be making major moves. Making major money moves. So that was a real big thing. And like I said, it wasn't like they were bad at football. They had a really good year. And a school like that, you don't really have to worry about too many people transferring out unless it's just not really working out. How they want it. The degree is just worth so much. Like, we have 100,000, a degree that's worth that much. It's just, you can't take that away from you. You know what I mean? It's nothing.
Absolutely not.
Do your 4 years, get your degree and, try to be a grad transfer, just literally just try to ball out one last time. And, so.
Outstanding. So we've covered, a little bit of your background. I said, you didn't say this, but having got a conversation with you all before, you started kind of in track, you got to football, your dad was on the coaching staff. Your career has been phenomenal in Louisiana. Seeing your growth has been tremendous. Me personally, being from the outside looking in and gaining new fan base. I've got a few friends of mine who I work with and who I'm like, hey man, you got to check out this kid named Bill out of Louisiana, man. The tape is amazing. So seeing the progress has been tremendous for me. I know it's been tremendous for your family, obviously. So I had the question.
I'll ask something. Not as much related to your career, but just because it's still it's a hot topic, but it's dying now. But how'd you feel about the Super Bowl? What do you make of that?
I was just glad the Chiefs won. I'm originally from Kansas, and I'm glad the Eagles lost and they beat the Niners.
I would have been in the same boat. The Niners. That I will say that NFC Championship game was the worst football game I've seen in my life. I'm not even like
it was. It was pretty unfortunate. Brock. Obviously you don't see that happening at all. Like Brock Purdy gets a little freak injury that happens in the first quarter. And you literally got to put in Josh Johnson, who has been a journeyman,
career journeyman,
career journeyman all his life, and it's pretty tough. You're getting thrown out there. You're not thinking. Well, I'm not saying like that. You're not thinking you'll probably go out there. You got 100,000 fans, 100,000+ fans. You got an NFC Championship game on the line. Your adrenaline's going crazy. I mean, the ball literally got snapped in his hands and he dropped the ball.
Yeah, that's what bothered me. Is like
I'm not going to lie, guys.
Made this great play. It was a drop snap at, going into halftime. That was like a 10, 14-point swing. And then from there, Johnson gets hurt. And then it almost felt like the Niners were just at a business meeting for the rest of it, just like running the ball, doing some weird reverses. And, they couldn't throw. They couldn't throw. They were one-dimensional. It was over.
The game was over once it was 21-7. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Philly's defense was not. With the healthy Brock Purdy, I told some young. I was at work for the first half that Sunday, and a guy's like, "Oh man, it's 49ers." I'm like, "Bro, if Philly gets up 2 touchdowns on 49ers, the game is over. They're not in the liberty of letting teams back in the game, minus the Chiefs. But that even if Brock Purdy was healthy, I didn't see the 49ers coming back in that game. That defense led the league in sacks for a reason. Although they did not sack Patrick Mahomes in that Super Bowl, but that
close. But he's a wizard.
Hey man, that's the football MJ right there. That guy is amazing.
You say football, Brian?
No. Oh. No, I said what I said. He is the football MJ.
I still think the football MJ is Joe Montana, but like that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, no. One thing I will say about that that NFC Championship is also like it was just it was over when I think Josh Johnson dropped that snap, which led to it being 21-7 at halftime.
Yeah,
Niners could have gotten they could have tied it before half or at least made it.
Not to mention,
four-point
it
game.
sucked because Christian McCaffrey got that good run. They
Great
come
run.
out and stop him on defense. So you're thinking like, oh man, Niners are in this thing, and Josh Johnson goes out and I'm like, it was
brutal, absolutely brutal. No, I mean it was I think it should have. It was billed as like this great game. It should have been a great game, but two quarterbacks go down, you never see that, and it was just it was an absolute shit show, absolute shit show. But yeah, on the subject of Mahomes, that brings me to another question. This is more like a general football topic question. So I personally think that Mahomes has entered the GOAT discussion, and the reason why I say that, I know it's early in his career, is if you're starting a team from scratch, you're starting your own franchise. And you could either have prime Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes. Who are you picking?
Probably Patrick Mahomes.
Probably Patrick Mahomes, right?
I'm picking Brady.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't want to be this guy, but at age 27, Patrick Mahomes has led his team to 2 Super Bowl wins, been to 3. Could have arguably been the best player on the field in the loss when he had 2 tackles down. Tom Brady, I want to say this, and I know he's the most winningest quarterback of my lifetime. The first 2 Super Bowls he won, he was carried. I'm sorry. He was there, but he did not drive. He was not driving that ship.
No, he was being good. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a Brady hater. Sorry. I've been a Brady hater. And that's just kind of
He was not driving that ship. He was not driving that ship.
I get it.
Versus the Rams.
The one thing about Brady is he's always been inevitable, meaning at the end of the game, if he has the ball, it's probably pretty good.
Mike, Bill, who do you all take? Who do you all take?
I said, I don't like neither one of them. I told that boy, I say devil's advocate. You could just say Andy Reid is the reason Patrick Mahomes looks the way he does, and that beautiful offense that he also runs.
You got to perform. You got to make the plays.
He didn't do them in college. It's the same guy.
He did. He
I don't know.
Like
Cliff Kingsbury.
The thing is,
he still was going for 500 yards. Him and Baker had that shootout. Oklahoma and Texas Tech, and Mahomes kept them in that game. Like they were, I think we were buried 500 his junior year, his redshirt junior. Was he redshirt year? But Mahomes, like he was like in college football. Yes, the air raid is very skeptical when you're transitioning to the league, but he was the most physically talented guy as a receiver. I follow all the air raid and the June Jones, the run and shoot systems in college. Out of all the Texas Tech quarterback, going back to Cliff Kingsbury and all the guys they've had, bro, physically talented, that kid was amazing in college.
I can't believe Cliff Kingsbury goes 5-6 in college with Pat Mahomes and somehow turned that into an NFL job with the Cardinals. It doesn't make any sense.
And that's why he's not there now.
Oh, yeah. No, not at all. I heard he was at the Chicago airport, and even that little report made me very sad. And it's just like, I don't get it, man. I really don't. But
I think that guy's better off as an OC quarterback type coach. I don't think if he couldn't win at his alma mater or at least get them respectable like a Mike Leach, although Mike Leach, he's passed on now. Mike Leach put Texas Tech on the map, literally put them on the map. What'd you say, Mike?
And Washington State.
Put them back on the map. Washington State hadn't been on the map since Ryan Leaf. So
right. I do, and to give you credit, Mike, I do think Andy Reid absolutely has something to do with why Mahomes is at
obviously.
That being said, I could say the same about Brady and Belichick, except
he proved that wasn't true though.
Well, he proved that wasn't
true.
He went
to the most talented team in the NFL offensively.
Exactly. Also, he didn't have to go on the road during his playoff run because of COVID. So he was playing in an empty Superdome, an half empty Lambeau Field, and Washington, it was like, look, again, not taking. It was an impressive run, especially like at 42 years old or whatever. But like
42, 43.
James Winston
Yeah.
threw 30 touchdowns to those receivers as well. He just threw a bunch of interceptions.
5,000 yards too. 5,000 yards.
5,000 yards. It's crazy.
5,000 yards too. This week.
Also, I mean, your guy Leonard Fournette had a great playoff run. Look, again, Brady's top 2, top 3. I think he's a top 3 all-time quarterback for sure. I still think Montana and Mahomes are absolutely in that conversation at this point and previously. But going up against Lawrence Taylor, Brady never had to do any of that. But look, we could have this GOAT discussion until the cows come home.
So I definitely want to. I know time is of the essence. I know it's a school night. So just to wind down, I hope that we've garnered you all as a family some new fans that can watch. Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns have been on TV a lot in college football, so I hope people check you out and you gain a bigger fan base. I definitely will be watching. I promise you, I'll definitely be keeping up with you all, and hopefully we can have you back. God willing, we can have you back after every season to check into how the college experience has been for you. So my last question. Oh man, that'd be amazing. Or the Doak Walker. With all the blessings, hope you achieve that. My last question for you, being a running back, and your dad being in the backfield as well. This will be my last question for you all. If you could take a bit of what is your dream running back? If you could, I'm older, so I would say like the heart of Walter Payton, the agility of Barry Sanders. If you could put together your perfect running back from your knowledge, past, current, or future, maybe some guys that you played against that you've seen.
Great question.
Who would you piece together as your perfect running back?
I love that.
For both of you.
I'll say the durability of Emmitt Smith.
Okay.
The vision and the agility of Barry Sanders. Adrian Peterson, how hard he ran.
Man, that guy runs violent.
How hard he ran. And let me see what else. And probably trying to think of a smart running back. And maybe the brains of like Marshall Faulk. No, I take Marshall Faulk's
versatility.
Versatility. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. Versatility.
Hey, I'll take that. Take that all day. Bill?
I have to say the durability, longevity of Frank Gore. You play a long time. I say the versatility.
I'm sorry. I'll let you finish. You all play his son's team. That's the same conference, right? Southern Miss.
I think he's actually going to be going to. He's up for I think he's going to be up going for the draft this year.
Really?
I'm not sure.
He was only a sophomore. I thought he was
sophomore. Okay, then yeah. Southern Miss, and it is. Yeah.
Definitely, I know that game's going to be televised. Definitely will be tuning into that game.
Oh, no doubt.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupt you. Go ahead and finish.
Yes, durability of Frank Gore. The versatility of Christian McCaffrey. He could do both. He can catch, he can run. He's a tough runner. I'll say the quickness. Basically, the footwork, the quickness of Reggie Bush, and I would just say just a mixture of just tough running from a mixture Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, and Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
The breakaway speed like
Chris big boys.
Good. You are so young.
The breakaway speed of who?
Chris Johnson, huh?
Yeah, Chris.
CJ2K.
Yeah.
CJ2K, another small school Eastern Carolina guy. Eastern Carolina.
He had that 4.2 speed.
Hey man. Hey, that guy was another guy who flashed his last year at Eastern Carolina. If you go look at those stats and his performing in that acceleration was a kickoff specialist and then turned into a legit running back. So hey,
I'd probably just take Walter Payton.
I would take the heart. I would take the heart of Walter Payton. I would take the agility of Barry. I would take the stiff arm or the forearm of Walter as well, and the breakaway speed.
Chris Johnson.
Who's really no? I take breakaway speed. I take Eric Dickerson.
Okay.
Eric Dickerson's breakaway 6'2",
remember that kid.
115 tall, a tall running back, which you don't see, a tall, slender running back, which you don't see too much nowadays. Got to check. I would definitely, Bill, go check out. Mike, you got to have your son check out some Eric Dickerson film, man. With the
gotta have him check out-
goggles, with the neck collar. Like you don't see the neck collar guys running away from people. You got to check out them SMU tapes and them LA Rams highlights. Amazing
But
tape.
really, I mean, come on, you got to show him some Walter. I don't know. Have you ever watched a Walter Payton highlight tape?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I watched. I play with him on Madden.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. No, that's respectable. And I guess I do want to ask one last question as well before I let you go. And I guess like, what do you think? What sets you apart from other players at your position? You know, running back obviously very highly sought after nowadays. Not as highly valued because people say they're a dime a dozen. What makes you unique?
Just kind of what I basically bring to the game. Just basically, being a student of the game. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys, they don't watch. A lot of guys, they watch. A lot of guys watch film, but they don't watch film. You know what I mean? They're not
Right.
Understanding film.
They're not understanding. What the linebacker likes to do. If he's a bulldozer, he just reacts on the first thing he sees. Like I say, especially being at the running back position, I think any little edge, as far even long, like longevity, what I mean, things like that, you're just blessed with to have. Some guys are just unable to just have them things. So I just think I said for me, things that separate me out, I just say, my work ethic, going with film. So those are two things that I think are unbeaten.
I love that. No, that's a great answer. And honestly, that's what it takes, right? You gotta outwork everyone else in this unbelievably competitive business. As I respect that a lot. So yeah, we've been talking for a little over an hour, which is great. Guys, thank you so much for joining the show, Bill and Mike. I mean, it's hard to not call you Elijah just because I respect the name and whatnot. But just know, you definitely have a new fan in me. Definitely gonna watch your games on Saturdays and eventually Sundays when the time comes. And I know I speak for Diab when I say that too. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys. And hopefully, love to have you back on the show again, especially after you're up and running playing some college football.
Appreciate it.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
having
both
us
you
on.
guys. Thank you so much, Mike, for letting for the past 2 years. Thank you, Mike, for letting us talk to you and your son, and wish all of your family all the blessings. You, your wife, your son, your daughter. Man, I really appreciate you all. Allowing us to take to come into your home and to learn a little bit about you all.
Right, I appreciate it. Thank you guys as well. Have a good night.
All right, take care, guys. Peace. All right, I want to wrap it up with you, Coach, because I want to talk a little bit about this conversation. Really, like Eric Dickerson over Walter?
I'm not saying that. If I could piece together, so Walter obviously is okay. I'm going to divulge something I don't often. Walter isn't actually my favorite Bears running back of all time.
Who would it? Let me guess. Is it Sayers?
Yes.
Okay.
If you watch those Gale Sayers highlights, man, in an age where they weren't playing 16 games, and when he was at his prime or before the injury, obviously, the only running back to outrush him on a consistent basis was Jim Brown.
Mm-hmm.
That guy's speed, the 7 touchdowns, the kickoff, the versatility at that time, being known later in time as kind of one of the first running backs before Barry, as far as the agility and the cutting ability and all the things that people who played against him, who saw him, who played with him, saw how great he was. The Kansas Comet.
Looks like he's running in multiple directions at this
point. The Kansas Comet. Small thing about Mike. Their family, I think, is originally from Louisiana, but Mike was a junior college transfer to Upper Iowa out of Kansas. He played in the Jayhawk Conference, which is one of the bigger junior college conferences in the country, and segueing for Gale Sayers going to Kansas, being a Jayhawk, and he was named the Kansas Comet. So little segue there.
That's fun. I love that. So that's interesting. So who would your ideal running back be then? Like, who did you piece together?
Okay, so I'd said the heart and forearm, that forearm shiver, that stiff arm of Walter. Definitely taking the quickness of Barry, being a Lions fan. He's the scariest. The top 3-4 guys as a Bears fan, I was terrified of any time they got the ball or had the ball in their hands. It's got to be Barry,
Adrian
number
Peterson.
one. Not AP. Number 2 is Aaron Rodgers. Number 3 is Randy Moss, and number 4 is Brett Favre. Those guys, just the fear.
For me, number 1 through 7 is Aaron Rodgers. I mean, let's be real. Like, I mean, when he said "I own you," he wasn't lying. But then, I mean, look, and I wasn't alive for Barry, but yeah, no, I've seen the runs. He has multiple Hall of Fame runs against the Bears that just scare the shit out of me.
Yes, he has multiple running back runs versus a lot of teams.
Yeah, right.
But
yeah, for sure. But I do remember seeing a few with old Singletary on there.
Man, the Spinderella one where he steps over a guy. Also a guy who was not highly talented out of college. I mean, out of high school. Barry didn't shine until his senior year at he's from Oklahoma City. Oklahoma. He didn't start until his junior year because another Hall of Famer at Oklahoma State was ahead of him. He played for the Bills. Thurman Thomas.
Oh, the Hall of Fame running back still.
Right. So I don't know if you heard, there's a story that the Oklahoma coach at the time, Oklahoma coach who coached the Cowboys to their 3rd Super Bowl. Damn it. Anyway, the story goes, the Oklahoma Barry Switzer, thank you. Oh my goodness, I
forgot who he was last week too. Don't worry, I made that mistake.
Barry Switzer. They were in film study, about to play Oklahoma State. Barry Sanders was a sophomore and Thurman Thomas was a senior. And he was in film study with defense. He said, "Hey, I know we got a tough game." Of course, the students own Oklahoma State, period, anyway. But he said, "Hey, we do not want to injure Thurman Thomas." And Thurman Thomas was an All-American at running back, up for very highly talented running back, obviously. Hall of Famer, first-round pick, I think it was the first-round pick for the Bills. Mm-hmm. We do not want to injure Thurman Thomas in this game. And, the players are like, "Wow, what are you talking about? Defense, Brian Bosworth, what are you talking about?" Because the guy who does kickoff return in his backup is a kid who you do not want to see. And Barry the next year runs for still a record, including back then they didn't include bowl game stats. Barry Sanders still to this day has the single season rushing record in all of NCAA with like 2,600 and some change. 2,600 yards and change. And that's, remember, for those who don't know, up until I think the early 2000s, bowl game stats were not added to your actual career stats.
Interesting. That I don't see why not.
There's a if you go to like Football Reference or whatever, there's an asterisk for later players that bowl game stats were not added.
God bless Football Reference for that, by the way. Like, it's nice that they are able to quantify it.
I think he was on the verge of like 3,000 yards in the season.
Yeah, no,
they didn't play as many games as they play now in college. So
there are a few running backs where you just watch them run and you could just be like, "Oh, okay, he's different." Like, and Barry Sanders in that echelon, Walter Payton in that echelon. I'd say Gale Sayers is kind of like that. I think Jim Brown had a bit of a Wilt Chamberlain thing going on where he was just like
so much better,
superior to his competition. But can't take that away from him.
Bro, he was running for like 1,500 yards in 12 game seasons, bro. Like,
what?
What?
So stupid. In that, I mean, those Browns, that I guess the Ravens now, but those Browns were that was a special. Like,
Paul Brown.
They were one of the early NFL dynasties, which is
the saddest name for an NFL team. Paul Brown named the team after his name, then left after being forced out of Cleveland. He went to Cincinnati, north. I'm sorry, south of Ohio, and he started another team, the Bengals, with the same color
same
scheme.
helmet. He just wrote Bengals on the side.
Same color scheme. Like, people, if you're a football fan and you don't know the story, so he essentially starts the Cleveland Browns. He ends up in dispute with, I guess, the actual owners, and he kind of gets ousted, essentially.
Like, football royalty with Lombardi, Hallis, like all these names. It's Paul Brown.
Yeah. He essentially gets ousted. He doesn't go far. He goes south of the state of Ohio to Cincinnati and starts another team with the the exact same color scheme. And before they had the stripes, it was literally brown helmets or orange helmets with Bengals.
Just Bengals. Exactly. It's so it's so goofy. They were so like easily the worst helmets in the league, and it's just like the amount of pettiness there. It's like, and this is before we had like I don't know, like this is before like Jacksonville, Tampa Bay could have used a team. Could have gone to Florida. Could have gone pretty much anywhere to start his new team. He goes to Cincinnati of all places because I guess he just really wanted to beat the Browns.
You got to remember, at that time, the NFL in the early stage, they were pretty much Midwest and East Coast. So
and the Rams, I think, were there now at that point. They might have been.
The Rams were still they were originally an LA team.
Right.
The Rams were an LA team. There was the 49ers. You're splitting hairs with AFL, NFL, but the original NFL teams, like the handful that were like established in the 30s and 40s, they were all pretty much Midwest and East Coast.
Yep.
Jets were AFL, so I'm not going to count them. But yeah, I'm a football nerd. So
we're football historians.
There were during Paul Brown's time up until I think the 60s. Mid to late 60s, early 70s, there were no teams in the South. There was Chicago, the Packers, Minnesota, and then like the Giants.
Yeah.
The Colts.
They were the Cowboys.
You had the Cowboys who weren't always. They were Texans at first.
The Saints and Falcons didn't come along until the 70s, I think.
Yeah, they were much later. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting. But I just think it's so funny.
I know we were talking earlier about the fields, and the Bears have to play this game so they can get somebody to trade with them. I'm sorry, I just Bryce Young, like of all the Bama quarterbacks the past decade, is he really like coming out? Is he better than Tua? Is he better than Mac Jones? Like I'm not saying he's not good. I'm not saying the talent around him because at Bama, he's got all this talent around you. I'm not saying he's athletic. I just don't think that in this draft class, clearly he's the top guy.
Yes.
But last year's group, if you talk about the last three groupings of quarterbacks, I don't see him as the top guy. I don't put him over Trevor Lawrence in that class.
Definitely not over Trevor, but I think he's very, very good. I just don't like the size really concerns me. I think it's like I just don't think he's going to last very long in this league. And the arm strength, part of why I say I wish Kyler Murray was a second baseman for the Cubs right now. Like I wish, I think he'd be better off. Go right now. I feel like he'd be, I think he's got more of a baseball build, and I think, and I think he'll be a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. And I think the NFL might be gearing itself towards more of his stature, but at the same time, it's like he's gonna have to take a lot of hits. I'm not sold on him at all.
Even in this time of football, man, even in this time of football where quarterbacks are giving, you can have quarterbacks play into their late 30s, early 40s. I mean, people forget that Aaron Rodgers isn't that far from 40. So if he wants to play until he's 40, he will.
Probably go a little longer.
Drew Brees played until he was 40. Peyton Manning, 38, 39, essentially 40. Right. So the game is, but all of those guys have something in common. They are bigger framed guys.
Yep.
We don't, if excluding Drew Brees, there's not a lot of under 6'2". There are no under 6'2" quarterbacks who have been thriving for longevity in the NFL, even the modern version of it. I mean, even Joe Montana played, he was 38, and that was injury laden. He had back issues since he was in his mid 30s. The Giants hurt him pretty bad. I mean, Steve Young was his backup for damn near 5, 6, 7 years before Steve finally got like the nod to be the, they sent him to the Chiefs. I've always been a big proponent that size doesn't matter, but it's a stipulation. It depends on your position. And I think height is slightly overrated at quarterback because it's more about throwing lanes. Although we've seen sort of quarterbacks have to find ways they don't typically throw in the middle of the field as much. I just don't think Bryce Young, if at this stage of their careers, Bryce Young's not better than Justin Fields. I'm sorry. And
I completely agree. I also
Mike
think
Tannenbaum is talking about, oh, just reset the rookie contract. I'm like, but so you're going to take a smaller, not saying he's weaker, a smaller frame quarterback with the team that, although they have a lot of money in draft capital, still don't have any talent, and they're going to be better.
Well, okay, they have some talent. I think they have talent, and this is kind of goes with what JB's saying here. You know, until they fix the line, I think their talent. Where'd he go? Well, to answer his question, I think the talent of the Chicago Bears, more than anything else, lies at the skill positions, meaning the receivers are pretty good. They have a good running back in Montgomery if they decide to pay him. Khalil Herbert's very good. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I think they have an exciting young secondary. Jalen Johnson, Eddie Jackson, whether you like it or not, good safety. Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon, the kid. But yeah, I guess. There we go. There he is. Add to stream. Hey, you good? You there?
Yeah, I don't know if my fingers are getting fat as I get older too. I was trying to hit the chat button to see who had chatted, and I hit the
right.
button. Sorry.
No, it was JB, and he was just saying, until they fix the line, any quarterback will struggle in Chicago. Yeah. And I want to just little pushback on that. The Bears don't have talent thing is basically what I was just saying is, I think we have good receivers. We could use another one, but we have good receivers in Claypool and Mooney. I think Herbert's very good. If they do end up paying Montgomery, he's still a very good back. In the secondary, Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Young getting better. Brisker's very good, and Jackson. But the thing is, in order for skill position players to thrive, they got to be able to win the trenches, and that's where the Bears suck, is in the trenches. And that's why I'm saying, build up that D-line first and foremost. And I think also building the D-line inherently helps the offense, because if you have a good defensive line, it means you're not on the field as much, because you're able to get off the field on third down. And then that's when you won't find yourselves in as many situations like you were against the Dolphins and the Falcons, where you're trailing late in games, and then you're able to run the ball more.
Draft capital. We need to trade for more picks. We've got to surround him with young talent and some veteran talent. The hardest part is I think that I agree with some people on the outside that say, even national pundits were like, if you're going to there are no receivers in free agency, you're probably going to have to trade for a guy. So if you have enough draft capital by getting out of that number one pick, maybe you can trade for a D-Hop. Maybe you can trade for one of the Bengals, their second or their third receiver whose contract is going to be ending. Or why wait to next year to get a legit number one receiver if you get out of that number one spot, which I think the Bears will, because the NFL, every NFL team every year, some team is hungry for a quarterback, and obviously there are numerous people who think that there are at least 3 legit top 15 quarterbacks. We got to get draft capital. We got to interior line, whether it's a rush end or a 3 technique. In this offense, is not really the one technique that drives the 4-3 cover 2. It's the 3 technique that drives it, and obviously it's pass rushers. But yeah, we need draft capital. We need some more talent especially at the wide receiver. We need a legit guy who will garner other people to do something.
I will say, and I agree with that. I think they should, and this is what Chris, Foulmouth Chris said. I think, welcome to the show.
I didn't say give up a first rounder for D-Hop.
Absolutely not. I agree, but I'd give up a third rounder for D-Hop. I'd give up a fourth rounder, of course. Third rounder, maybe.
Probably going to give up a 2, though. You're probably going to have to give up a 2.
I don't know, though, because Arizona's they're restarting, and he wants out. And I don't blame him. New coach, new system. Kyler Murray's got a dubious reputation. I get it. If
it's all about leverage,
I don't think the Cardinals have a lot of leverage. I really don't with D-Hop. He's 2 years on his contract, and I don't think they're going to be able to get as much for him as they think they'll be able to.
Good night, buddy.
And I will say,
okay, nosy. saying goodnight to my firstborn.
To your mini you.
Yeah.
Mini-
Okay. Look, he's so nosy. He came down here to say goodnight. The first thing he did was look directly into the camera. He didn't even he came to give me a hug and looked directly at the camera because he wants to be on. You've been on several times. All right,
hey, man, I respect it.
Love you.
Yes,
Hello.
Chris.
Good night.
All right, good night, bud. Well, glad we got you on the show. That's a lot of fun. Yeah, he makes a lot of money. Foul mouth is saying makes a lot of money. He'll be 31. Yes. At the same time, he's only got a 2-year contract, and I mean, I haven't seen him slow down yet. You know, yeah, there was the PED thing. I don't really care about that. Yeah, I think he's still like he'd absolutely be an asset, and I don't even think we're asking him to be like the old DeAndre Hopkins. I think we're asking him to like help out Claypool, help out Mooney a little bit, and
Hop at 31 still garners respect no matter what, man.
Yes.
I mean, I know it's the NFL, and we don't theoretically consider 30, 31 being your down. He's not slowing down physically as far as his targets. I know the offense he ran and was completely different than what he had ran in Houston. They used him differently. The route tree is different in that quote unquote air raid type system.
McCoy this year. Nothing against Colt McCoy, really good backup. Love the guy, but like
he was slanging it. He was slanging a little bit.
He's got a cannon, but it's like, it's still Colt McCoy in the NFC West. Good defenses. It's like, yeah, and I mean he
contested catches.
Jalen Ramsey's number.
We need contested catches. He's a formidable guy. I don't think that they'll have enough leverage.
Eat a lot of our salary cap, but do you realize how much salary cap we have? Like, I don't think.
And the Cardinals, you can get a deal where the Cardinals take a certain percentage of that contract.
Like, I can't see a scenario where the Bears, like, it's going to be hard to spend all the money that they have this offseason. Like, there's a surplus, and if they do trade for Hopkins, I'm sure they could work out a deal where they front loaded a little bit more than before. But look, again, he's not my first choice for receiving trade unless he doesn't cost a lot of money or assets. But look, I mean, Falmouth, I think you would agree. A fourth, like if we could get him for a fourth, maybe a third, but if we could get him for like a 4th round pick, I think you'd jump at that. I think anyone would jump at that. But yeah. Also, I want to bring up real quick. Couple players released today. First, Taylor Lewan, really, really good offensive tackle. He's been
he was released a couple of days. Was it a couple of days ago or officially today?
I think it was official. It might have been officially today. My days are a blur. But yeah, we do have a lot of holes. Pause, but that's true. Look, we got Taylor Lewan and Bobby Wagner. Both hit the open market. Robert Woods, why, man? Look, I like Robert Woods, good player, but like I don't see why. I guess it's nice to have like a veteran like that.
If Robert Woods had a down year after a knee injury this year, although he was playing with the team that does not throw the ball a lot. If you put Robert Woods on this team right now, what number receiver is he?
3 or 4.
He's not really. I think he's automatically a 2 or fringe 1. I'm just saying that based on his route running,
really better than Mooney right now.
Well, if Mooney's your vertical guy, you got Robert Woods underneath. He's the best route runner you have, and then you still have you got Claypool. So I think he's more. I mean, he might end up being your number 3 as far as totality.
I wouldn't hate bringing in Robert Woods because he is. I'd much rather bring in Keenan Allen, of course, but I think Robert Woods is one of those veteran guys.
You're talking about you giving up a first to Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen might get released.
Really? Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah, contracts are weird in the NFL.
Look, all I know is whoever the Chargers release, whether it's this guy on my shirt or if it's and if you're listening, it's Khalil Mack is on my shirt or Keenan Allen, the Bears should be all over it. But Bobby Wagner is interesting because the Bears are kind of devoid at linebacker right now, and then they could finally use 54 again. But no, I don't know. I think it's unofficially retired for good. But yeah, no, Lewan would be interesting. Obviously, he's had injuries the past few years. Couldn't hurt still have a guy like him in the locker room. Wagner, very interesting. Would you give up a first for Diggs? No, I would not. No, because we have not the first overall pick. We're talking about
no. If you're trading out, you've got 2 1s now. You got 2 1s.
No, we only have one. We haven't traded back yet.
Oh, you had two. You got two twos. Two twos. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Two
we have
twos,
two
right?
twos, I believe. Yeah.
So
I would
if
not.
you
I don't
trade,
think the Bills would trade Diggs either. I know
I don't think
JB
they are
really
either.
wants Calvin Ridley, but there's no way the Jags move on from Calvin Ridley at this point. I can't imagine that.
You talking about the Falcons?
The Falcons traded Calvin Ridley to the Jags this year. It was an under the radar move because he was suspended for gambling all year.
For gambling, right? I remember that. Yeah, the
They
Jags
want, the Jags want him for Trevor Lawrence, and that's going to be that's going to be a lethal combo. They're not going to move off of him.
We were in the chat during that game versus the Chargers, and people were like, "Oh, I knew Trevor." I'm like, "Bro, Trevor Lawrence threw like less than 10 picks this year, bro. Trevor Lawrence." I love Justin Fields. Trevor Lawrence was the best quarterback in that draft. He proved it here. He altered some things in the game. They're building that team around him. He made doggone a guy who everyone thought was overpaid at receiver. The kid who played for Christian Kirk. He made him look. He put up a number one numbers, bro. Calvin really on that, bro. The Jaguars are going to be formidable. That defense, that offense. They're going to be formidable
right now.
I mean, that's the AFC though. That's the AFC.
Look at the AFC. Number one quarterback, obviously Mahomes. Number two, Burrow. Number three is Trevor Lawrence. Like I can't think of a scenario. Lamar hasn't played enough in recent years for me to give him that credit. I love Lamar, but I mean, and also who knows where he's going to be next season. I mean, who else is going to be like I take Lawrence over Josh Allen. I'm sorry. I know Josh Allen's done it consistently for a few years, but he's got that Brett Favre factor that I cannot shake.
Wait, so the thing with Josh Allen that has been pleasantly surprising, obviously his development from year 2 to year 3 is something we've never seen statistically in football, is the fact that the criticism that the NFL world, media world was giving Lamar Jackson. Why isn't Josh Allen getting that criticism?
That first of all, that's fair, Loudmouth. I understand why. Why isn't Josh Allen getting the same criticism as
Lamar? Okay, he got the MVP.
Well, I think we know why. I'm just saying. I
didn't want to go there. I'm just saying that these guys are very similar, and the initial shoot, even year 3 or 4, he was getting, he can't win playoff games, bro. Like,
Peyton, you know how long Peyton Manning took to win a playoff game? It was like he was 30. He wasn't 30, but
I was about to say, damn.
Yeah, no, but I mean, and Lamar did win a playoff game, by the way, 2020. He did. He went to Tennessee and he beat them. He beat the Titans. That's not easy. And I mean, the Titans had a perfect storm when they beat him the first time around. And I guess one of the reasons why I do think Lamar or Josh Allen has an edge over Lamar in the court of public opinion, apart from the obvious, is Josh Allen did win that playoff game against the Ravens that one year. But at the same time, Allen makes these just absolutely boneheaded decisions.
The better team. Well, I mean, we can always play the game about the better team and what quarterback is doing more and whatnot. But
I still don't think I feel like Loudmouth here, or no, Foulmouth, I should say, not Loudmouth. Foulmouth Chris is saying Lawrence got hot at the end of the year, so did the Jags. That's true. But it's not that he got hot. It's that he started living up to his potential. Remember, this is John Elway hype. This is Andrew Luck hype. This is Peyton Manning hype.
We're talking about his second year. But he was consistent the entire year.
Yeah, he flipped the switch flipped on for him.
That's no different than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is in his third year. The switch went on his second year with Sirianni and them, the Eagles. They would decided to, hey, let's run the ball and play action and use him to throw the ball. I mean, the talent, obviously. And that's all, what I'm seeing here is all the things that we see about the coming on in your second or third year that's what we want to see from Justin. Justin did come on, but you need help. It's still a team game. And yes, you want your quarterbacks to be the spear of the team. You want him to be the head, the leader, all of these attributes we put on quarterbacks. But bro, quarterbacks ain't out here winning with, I hate to use this term for professional athletes, but bro, ain't no quarterback out here leading no team to playoffs with a bunch of bums. That's not,
with the exception of Tim Brady. Yes, you're right. But
okay.
even he had a defense, that's the thing. And look, a bunch of bums that's rude of me to say because Deion Branch is not a bum.
I was about to say Deion Branch he may have not been a Pro Bowl guy, but he was a legit.
These are all very solid number 2 receivers who knew where to be. And
throwing the ball to J.R. Redmond.
This is
throwing the
my
ball
least popular
to running
opinion.
back.
I still think Edelman's a Hall of Famer. I say that because he's Jewish and I'm Jewish. That's the only reason. But also, like Edelman was always where he had to be. Like he always had really good guys.
JB's right. JB. I thought
JB is right. That's why I'm keeping this comment up here for a while.
Yeah,
and,
JB's right. I said something. I don't know if I said it. I don't know if I said it, but I said the MVP the year that Josh Allen was up for MVP. I thought the actual MVP for that team was Diggs.
I agree because Diggs is the one who is dictating that coverage. He was the one. And I will say one thing I will say to Allen's credit is, and this is something that could apply to Lamar as well, although Lamar doesn't have like the talent that the Bills have, arguably, but like Allen is asked to do way too much in that offense. He is asked to be the running back. As well as the quarterback.
It's not going to end well. If they continue that, it will not end well.
The regular season when you're playing the Jets or when you're playing the Dolphins, maybe, but like once you're in the playoffs, you need a bona fide running back. That's why I'd like to see. Look, I like the Bills. I've always liked the Bills a bit. I wouldn't mind seeing them make a move for a Saquon Barkley. Get him a guy, get him a horse who can take the load off. Because Allen is not going to find playoff success. When I saw that it was snowing in that Bengals-Bills game in the playoffs, I have the receipts. I texted my friend and said the Bengals are going to win this game because Josh Allen can't be methodical. Joe Burrow,
that's true. I agree.
Defines methodical. Josh Allen, he's got kind of, and this is why I'm encouraged about Fields is they kind of have a similar problem, which is that, I mean,
go big or go home.
Yeah, go big or go home, right? Batman instead of Robin all the time. I think Allen, like he could throw it farther. I think Fields has he throws almost like a prettier. He's got really nice touch.
They're not known for dropping the ball off to their backs. That's not right. That's not their game per se.
I've counted many times where Fields absolutely should have just immediately checked it to Montgomery. Tim Brady won 7 Super Bowls by throwing it to his running backs.
At least the first two. First two.
Definitely the first two. And probably some of the others.
I challenge anyone to go look at the stats from that first Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, and also we forgot about. We always forget. Why can't we get Saquon? My logic is if you look at the last 10 Super Bowl winners, none of them were paying a running back a lot of money.
That's also true.
I think that's an important trend. And also, look, I'd love to get Saquon because then I'm going to kick everyone's ass in Madden with that option. But I'd love to get Saquon. I have no problem with it. He's a great player.
If you get Saquon, which would be a bonus, I think you pro the more of the quote unquote option read, but I really want to get away from Justin Fields running for 1,000 yards. I don't think that's where I want the offense to be.
I completely agree.
I think that obviously you have to utilize him running, but he did get hurt running. He did get hurt getting hit. I mean, obviously he got hurt. He got hurt. I think him getting hurt with the shoulder was a free play. Like he gets his foot clipped on an out of bounds play versus the Falcons. That's not like him taking an actual linebacker hitting him or how he got hit in college when he played against Clemson.
But you got to protect your quarterback.
Right. I just think that, not saying he can't run. I'm just saying that the amount of times and on schedule runs for him has to decrease, and you got to get the ball in the hands of your tight ends and your receivers, especially your receivers, because after Mooney, Pringle obviously let down because he was hurt. I would really love to see a healthy N'Keal Harry with the offseason.
Yeah,
I think that when he was targeted, if you go look at the targets when he was targeted based on how many plays he played, they were throwing him the ball. He was catching them. I think his catching percentage based on targets.
Really good.
So I think that with a full season with a N'Keal Harry type, with the Claypool type, who people really underestimate midseason trades in the NFL. I know this past 3 to 4 years, midseason trades before the trade deadline has been a big thing. But come on, offenses are different. Go look at those plays. Look, someone brought that up as well. I remember you brought it up your last show. The percentage of offensive plays that Claypool was on compared to when he was with the Steelers. The Steelers, he was
Yep.
75, 80 plays a game offensively compared to be like 30, 40, 50.
I pointed
Right.
this out on my last show, and this is
Yeah.
when I was calling out Colin Cowherd for his bullshit rhetoric, like, oh, Fields has Mooney, Fields has Claypool. It's like, okay, but Mooney got hurt and Claypool got hurt, and Fields' production went down because he was stuck with, table scraps. Fucking St. Brown, Packers, table scraps. Pettis, 49ers, table scraps. Again, NFL receivers, I have full respect for them. But, like, in the context of NFL football, they're just some guys. Like, they're just dudes.
Pettis was my.
To expound
I'm
on
gonna-
your...
I'm going to take an L. Hold on, I'm sorry. I want to take an L. In some group chats, I had an underdog for Bears receivers this year, and it was Dante Pettis, and I was wrong.
Yeah.
I
No,
thought-
I mean, look.
He did have some highlight games, but I thought that he was going to. I ain't gonna lie. I thought that we had found a guy who finally found himself in the league, and he would have a. Honestly, I thought he was going to be a guy who came out of nowhere and maybe had 700 yards and 5 or 6 touchdowns. Wrong. I was wrong.
I think that the one who is more likely to do that this year is, like you said, N'Keal Harry. And yes, only had 7 receptions this year, but that was on 9 targets, meaning, when you throw it to him, like you said, good things happen. Also, of those 7, 4 of them went for first downs.
There you go.
16.6 yards per reception. Again, obviously, very tiny sample size, but at the same time, it's just little flashes of what he can do, what he showed he could do in Arizona. The reason why, or Arizona State rather, it's the reason why he was a number 1 pick, or a first round draft pick for New England. He got a lot of talent, and I think that he Claypool, and Mooney could absolutely be like a solid core of receivers. I still think I want one more, just like bona fide number 1 guy. Hopkins would be great, and I mean, we're just going to talk about Jalen Hurts ad nauseum because he's kind of the one who, like he was like great player. Don't get me wrong. I've always been a big Jalen Hurts guy, but like he's been elevated a lot too by the talent he has around him. Let's do the same thing for Justin Fields. Let's get
Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen. Once they got him a legit receiver.
Yep, and that's what AB was saying. And I'm hoping
it's necessary,
they make that move because that's important. And I think
especially for a guy who doesn't. I think the thing was missing that we've said on numerous shows is that where's the quick game, and Justin has more technical aspects of his game to work on his footwork for his quick game, and where are the slants, where are the quick hitting plays, that we didn't see a lot of.
Where are the checkdowns? Dump it to Montgomery. Let him go crazy.
Yeah, I think that guys like a D Hop, a N'Keal Harry, a Claypool, these slants, like, hey man, slants, man, you get you get a guy on slants with the ball in his hands quicker sooner than later, then obviously you allow the guys to do more work. So I think that's going to be a huge aspect of the maturation process for Justin in this offense. So I look forward to it.
I agree, and I want to real quick kind of sorry to cut you off, just a little bit of a time limit, but like I want to expound on what my good friend Noah Gross commented just now. Thanks for joining, Noah, by the way.
Noah was on last week, right?
What'd you say?
Noah was on last week.
Yeah. Noah's on with me a lot. Well, Evan was on last week, but Noah's
Evan. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But no, Noah's saying, there's a difference between being mobile and functional mobility. The two get confused, leads to unfair expectations. He's absolutely right about that. And in the context of Fields, it's like with Justin Fields, he is mobile, but his game should be more about functional mobility.
Like his time at Ohio State in his first year with the Bears. I think the offense changed. Obviously, they said after week 4, they started watching more of Ravens film and trying to get him on the perimeter because they had to find something that worked. And once they started getting him on these direct run plays, you started seeing the 28 plus points a game that we didn't see the previous 4 years with Nagy, excuse me. Right. You started seeing high production as far as points on the board. And I mean, you have to use what you have, but you can eliminate that and make him more functionally mobile if you get talent.
Yeah, exactly. And
if you get legit receivers, man, he's not running for 1,000 yards. Lamar Jackson, if the Rams got him a legit number 1 who could stay healthy, Bateman is arguably a number 1 for them. you're not going to see him run for 1,000 yards in a 17-game season if he has guys he can get the ball to right now.
Exactly. No, I mean, like, why? Like, it's not exactly this, but like, why run into the wall when it's just a couple steps to go around it? Like, if you have weapons, just get the ball in their hands. Like, that's the key to success. The key to being a good NFL quarterback is
getting the ball to your playmakers,
just not fucking it up. You want to do like
Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl,
always be the one
Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
Yep. No, notice. Look, Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback of our generation, and he still, he checked it down a lot. Like he had layups, I should say. And Noah, sorry to bring up the Super Bowl, Eagles fan. But no, it's like he had layups late in the game, like they were easy touchdowns. And I'm not taking anything away from him. Obviously, I think he's
a guy with a big arm who you adjust your coaching staff and your quarterback have to be in unison, saying, "Hey, they're taking this away. They're taking away the throw he made to Valdez-Scantling in the conference championship game. Right. Where he threads it in the middle and he falls back. You take away those throws, and what do? You take what the defense is giving you."
Yes.
And no Patrick did have 300 yards. I did lose that parlay. Thank you, Patrick Mahomes. But hey, I did win the actual money line combo with I won the money line and the what parlay did I win? It was the parlay that didn't even give me a lot of money. Was the I took, because they were the underdogs, so I took the plus, put the Chiefs, and then I took money line.
I got fucked over because I had MVS having like 2.5 catches or something, and he basically just got to work out. He's got to work out that game. Got a nice jog in there. Is a Josh Gordon type game. I like to say.
Okay, so this is one of the parlays, and we're talking about betting a little bit. So there was a parlay that I put in that obviously betting is always I woulda, coulda, shoulda. Obviously, so you can't live in that world. You'll die a slow death.
Oh yeah.
It was a parlay where I took touchdown score. So it was Kelsey touchdown anytime. It was Jalen Hurts rushing touchdown anytime. And then I picked two because I was trying to like bet $5, but like pick some auspicious players. Right. And I picked Juju Smith-Schuster. And then I picked the all-purpose guy, number 24 for the Chiefs.
Sky Moore.
Yeah, I took Sky Moore, and a $5 bet would have netted me $2,000. And I looked at it, and I was just like, what are the chances Sky Moore scores? And I took him off, and I put Juju on it. And I think it went from like a $2,000 bet to like an $80 bet.
Hey, man, look, if you had Tony scoring and Sky Moore scoring, you were a rich man. That's
man. Yeah. Anyone who hit that parlay, even if you took Sky Moore, and if you just took those three, Sky Moore, Valdez-Scantling.
No, not Scantling. Sky Moore, Kelsey, Tony.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Kaderi. Yeah. If you took those guys anytime scoring, and if you had in Jalen Hurts rushing, bro, you could have bet $10 and easily won several stacks.
Oh yeah, no, you're eating good that night if you put those guys down. Yeah.
If anybody had that bet, please show me how much you won so I can eat my own.
I want to just shout out Noah real quick because he's listened to this, even though we're talking like he's still rightfully upset about the Super Bowl. I do think the Eagles will still be good next year. They're losing some free agents, but they have a culture.
It's a lot of people though. Don't they like 30-something free agents?
They have a lot of free agents, but I think Jalen Hurts is one of those guys that's showing that he's him. The offense is mostly going to look the same. I do think the defense might struggle a little bit more, but like they'll be back in the playoffs. That's for sure. They'll be playing.
That organization has been to 2 Super Bowls in the past 7 seasons for a reason.
Yep. Exactly. But yeah, I just hoping. I'm all I know is like I'm champing at the bit, not chumping, champing, because that is the proper term. That's the word. That's what it is. I am champing at the bit.
Okay.
For draft day and just the rest of this offseason because I'm tired of the Justin Fields talk and I'm ready to see what this team does. Hoping, like I said, it's nice to see Taylor Lewan and Bobby Wagner get released. Interesting prospects for the Bears, but I'm very curious to see if anyone else gets released and if the Bears pounce on those opportunities. But we'll kind of see.
So I get one thing. If JB and Foul Mouth Chris are still listening, in your opinion as well, What I know we've been down on the O line, and I would like to say that the O line is very young. So you got your left tackle's a rookie, your left guard is a vet, your center was hurt, your right guard was a second-year player who was hurt, coming back from a major injury, and your right tackle was a second-year player who was up and down and kind of had a second half slump. I know we want more O-line help, but how do I want to say this? Their development, like players start to develop in the league. Like, are we not giving them time? Are we just cutting bait and signing a hypothetical Tyler Lewan or whatever? Are we not going to give these guys time to gel?
Well, look,
I know it's
I
not a
want
real
Lewan-
question, but
I if I'm the Bears, I'm saying to Lewan, look, you've been hurt the past few years. We want to give you a contract to kind of be a swing and like almost a player coach in some ways. I'm not ready to give off on Braxton Jones because his only problem is he's not strong. Like he's not NFL strong yet.
right.
If he spends the
Development.
opportunity in the weight room, he's going to be good. And, you got Tevin Jenkins on that line. Obviously, not a Mustafa fan, but I do think there are some centers in the draft who could replace him.
I'm sorry. This year I have to give him credit. He played surprisingly better in his time. I thought he did. I thought he was not the weak link this year. I didn't think he was a weak link this year.
Like that's fair to say. I don't want to talk too much about it though because I don't want to give Frank the Tank a heart attack. But yeah, no, I see why you'd say that. I still think, I'd like to get. I still think like the Minnesota kid or the Arkansas kid might be interesting to come in and replace him. Whitehair's still like pretty mid-tier player, but not bad.
Oh man, it was some games he was getting his ass whooped.
Yeah, that's true.
There were a handful of games mid-season, the second half or the last third of the season where I was watching. I'm like, yo, is he the worst lineman on the team?
I'm starting to think that the main core of the line, Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins. Well, Jenkins is number one, but he's interior blocker. Leatherwood, I still think he showed some flashes of pretty good. Not the best, but he could be pretty good. And Braxton Jones. Other than that, we need some help.
Even our late signee was rated higher. Well, that is the a pro football focus or whatever. So it's a grain of salt or whatever. That's when Colin Cowherd was using for his great stat about the Bears didn't have the worst line.
The Giants have the great O line, and the Bears.
But factually,
the Giants have a shitty O line, and the Bears have a great one.
If you take away player pro football focus, no, the Giants line was really good. Like factually, they were really good. That's legit.
Evan Neal and Andrew Thomas are two.
That's
really
a legit
good
top five O line altogether. In my opinion,
Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal were first round picks, and they're really good. They're both really good.
Yeah, legit. But yeah, I just think the development of those guys is key. Obviously, in year 2 and 3, for some of them, if they're not developing, obviously you might want to think about not completely cutting bait, but getting some guys to compete. But the name of the game is competing. But I'm getting that look from my lady.
And I'm getting that look from my dog.
And I can hear my infant crying now. But yeah, thank you, Easy, for having me on. Thank you, obviously, Mike and his son Bill, Elijah Davis,
he's awesome. It's so easy to root for a kid like that.
Humble family is blue collar. Family is humble. They're great family. Mike and his wife have been together since college, man.
Oh wow, there you go. No, you can tell like loyalty is very important to him, and it's like it's just
staying with that commitment. Even he had some late comers on recruiting wise.
Continuing to play even when he already signed. Like showing like he's the real deal. Like
that kid had 1,000 yards in 4 games.
Now he's gonna be a problem. I'm telling you.
Versus Newman. I know we don't have a lot of Louisiana fans, but so Newman is where Arch Manning plays. That's the oldest grandson of Archie Manning, but Peyton and Eli's his nephew. Arguably his dad, Arch Manning's dad, is the best athlete from those brothers. He put 270 on them. They didn't win the game. Riverside didn't win. He put 270 on that defense.
Yeah. No, I mean he he balled out. He showed out
every
and
week.
look,
Every week.
we even talked about how, like, you know, he was far and away the best player on that school. So that defense sold out against him, and it didn't matter. That's the sign of, like, you know, this kid's going to be really, really special at the
And
college
he had,
level,
he
and
had
I
like
think in the NFL.
his touchdown, bro. Yeah, I think you've seen the highlight versus Newman. He ran away from those kids in Newman. Ran away.
He got
That
him out of
Newman,
their stride. You saw them like,
that Newman program puts Division Power 5 kids in college every year.
yep.
You know, Eli, all the Manning kids, Odell Beckham Jr. went to Newman.
Mhm.
Like, he put 270, and
Yeah, I'm telling you,
he had the S on his chest that game, even though they didn't win. And to more games, the 300 yards, 7 touchdowns, the first game that I saw when he was up for Louisiana State Player of the Week in the
7
state,
touchdowns.
bro.
Look, I don't care how good your O-line is. Like, if you're getting 7 touchdowns in a game, even if it's high school, like, you're the real deal. And I'm just saying, like,
If you follow college recruiting, he wasn't rated the best running back in the state of Louisiana. There's a kid, not downing the kid, just saying in perspective of idea of how recruiting is just different. There's a kid who's rated higher than Bill, Elijah Davis, who is going to LSU, and he physically isn't as developed physically. Like the kids, I think he had maybe he was up there with rushing yards and per average carry, but the kid was like 170, 180 pounds, 5'9", and LSU signed him as I think an athlete, a running back. And Bill's he's almost at that man body, 5'10", 5'9", 215 pounds. I don't know how much more weight he's going to put on in college, because, you know, when you get to college, man,
right.
the workout plan and the eating plan are going to put weight on this kid. And how much weight can he put on and maintain that speed? We haven't, I haven't seen a whole lot of where he's the bruising running back. He can do it, but man, whatever he's got to do to maintain that breakaway speed, that second level speed that you need to be a difference maker, I can't wait to see his development. I cannot wait. I am officially a Louisiana Lafayette fan. Rage Cajun might even get me a hat.
Yeah, no, same. Honestly, gonna get some merch, and, like, hey, I have no problem with it, especially given, you know, Peanut Tillman going there and whatnot.
Right.
You know, I'm easily, like, I am full on gonna support him. And hey, you know, he's a friend of the show now too. You know, it's like friend of the show. Definitely, I'd love to watch him just ball out and be like, hey, he was on my show first, baby. Let's go. You know, it's kind of cool always, and it's cool the connection you have with him. You know, his dad and whatnot. Just great guy. Just really, you know, great family, and it's easy to root for people. Just such nice, like, genuine people like that. You know, I love supporting them.
Yeah,
I love supporting them.
Thanks for letting us come on and get a family a platform, man.
Of course, man. No,
I hope everybody in the comments, hey, man, I don't know if you got a lot of college football fans, but hey, I'm telling you, I watch a lot of college football that I'm allowed. Louisiana Lafayette, well, now they're just University of Louisiana. They were on TV quite a bit. They had a good number of their games televised Saturdays. I think they played a couple Friday night college football games and maybe 1 or 2 Thursdays. I know sometimes Wednesday, Thursdays more MAC, but typically the Wednesday, Thursday now are kind of being more of the not the lesser 5, but, you know, the non-power 5 schools.
Right.
It gives them a platform for recruiting. Obviously, I know when I was in college, that's how I became a bigger MAC fan, was watching those Thursday night games in the Midwest, Northern Illinois, Toledo, Ohio, Western, Central, Eastern Michigan, stuff like that. So yeah, definitely going to
I am definitely going to, you know, watch him
along with Colorado. Go Coach Prime. Had to throw that in there.
Yeah. Before we end the show, I want to, you know, shout out all the people in the comments. Barb Gale, my mom, of course, first comment. Thank you. Jeremiah Pearson, hadn't seen you before, but glad you contributed. Obviously, Frank the Tank, Anthony, always tuning in. JB, Foulmouth, always good. I like Foulmouth, you know, pushing back on what I say, even though I don't agree with Foulmouth all the time. Always nice for him to, you know, contribute to the conversation. And of course, my good friend, Noah Gross. You know, just we had some nice comments coming in, which is good. And I will be live next week around the same time. As always, all-time great
Have
quote.
Have you seen the 30 for 30 short about like he wasn't he was so
You didn't know what
revved
I
up?
was gonna say. Like you had no idea. Yeah, man, I'm just coughing.
That's not
You say the wrong things. Like you
he,
have no idea.
that's not what he wanted to say when he
Yeah.
got the strike. He just came out that way.
He just messed it up. He and the thing is, he was talking at a kid. He was like talking shit at a kid who was heckling him the whole game. And he
Yeah.
wanted to be like, he wanted to say, I think, who do you think you are coming into my house talking like this?
Yeah.
But instead, he said,
Who do you think you are? I am.
did not mean to say it. I don't think he meant like. I
Who
don't
do
think
you
he
think
knew
you
at the
are?
time that it
I am. Holy
is
shit.
the hardest quote in the history of sports. Who
Gotta
do
put
you
that on the
think you
shirt.
are?
Put that on the shirt.
I want it on a shirt so bad. I love shit like that. Just quotes that are like here, this one's like a classic.
What the hell is even that?
When people say things that are like they don't mean to say them the way they do.
Playoffs.
It just comes out that way. Playoffs. I got to get playoffs on here. I do have some.
couldn't
Jim
do-
Mora.
Well, what happened was that second game, we got our ass kicked, or the second half. We just got our ass totally kicked. We couldn't do diddly poo offensively.
Poo.
Diddly poo is just
Diddly poo, bro.
yeah.
Hey. Oh,
Couldn't do diddly poo offensively.
oh
Oh,
man.
so fun. We have a good time.
Bill
All right,
Mora.
so
Bill Mora. Jim Mora. Jim Mora is amazing. Weird. Small segue again because of college football. His son, Jim Mora Jr., former Atlanta Falcon head coach and longtime NFL, also was the head coach of UCLA before Chip got there. He's got UConn football winning again.
I don't know how he does it because he's a weird guy, but somehow like he's got a football brain, man. Because
He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it at UCLA, but he's doing it at UConn. UConn was one of the worst programs about for the past until this year. Last couple years, they were one of the worst FBS programs. Like I think they were 0 for 2. They were bad, and he's got that team winning.
I remember them in a bowl game randomly once against like Oklahoma. They got their ass kicked, and then after that, like I didn't hear much about UConn football
Until
good for Jim, you know. Carrying on that legacy. And anyway, we're gonna wrap up now. Wrong video. And as always, thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in. Had a good time with all the commenters. Coach Chef, always a pleasure. And as always, let me know if I'm full of crap.
I think I'm full of crap. I have to be just like some idiot who's full of crap. Please show up in the comments and tell me how I'm full